Coming to you live from the White Picket Studios in Houston, Texas, this is the Realty Ruckus. If you are in any way, shape, or form involved in the real estate industry, this is the show for you. And now, your host, Alan Hernandez.
Welcome to the Realty Ruckus out of the White Picket Realty Studios. I am your host, Alan Hernandez. Sitting next to me, your producers, Jabron Hernandez. David is not here today. However, we still have a phenomenal show planned out today. Thank you guys for hanging on and holding on. We had a couple of minor technical issues going live today.
Facebook doesn't always agree with what you want to do. You know, you got something planned, and then Facebook says, "Nah, we're going to do it Facebook's way.
We're going to change it up, and do it Facebook style," which is totally fine because we're here and hey, we're going to have a good time. Speaking of, make sure that you guys share this with anyone out there in the real estate industry who you think would love to grow right alongside with us. And don't forget that we love to talk to you live on the air by sharing all your questions, comments, concerns, trolling, anything that you guys want to talk about down below so that we can make fun of you, of course. Now, let's talk a little bit about...
Yes, that's the only reason. We just want to make fun of people. That's all it is.
No, not at all. We have a lot of great real estate stuff to talk about today, guys. But before we get to that, I want to just acknowledge you, BB, because last night we went to an event which is called the Golf...
Let's call it like it is. Last night, I kidnapped you.
Well, I was kidnapped last night.
I threw you in my vehicle, and I said, "Hey, do you want to go for a little ride?" And you were like, "All right, where are we going?" And next thing you know, we're down.
I thought we were going to the store to buy fizzy bubblies, aka
Topo Chicos.
Topo Chicos.
Yeah.
Which is a totally good excuse for me to jump in anyone's car, the way I see it.
Absolutely.
Right? So I get in the car, and an hour later, I'm down in Timbuktu. Now, I have a pretty strict rule about not driving very far. Usually it's about what, like a 5-mile radius, would you say?
5 mile?
Okay,
oh, wow.
Brandon says 2-mile radius.
You're down to a 2-mile radius. Wow.
Okay.
That's pretty impressive.
The point is, an hour later, I am down in, what was it, League City?
Yeah, League City. It was down by 518. Yeah, so
League City. We're in
League
League City
a ways down.
at a restaurant called Las Brisas, which, by the way, happens to be an amazing restaurant, a place that I've never been to before, and it was for an event for what was the name of the organization?
The Gulf Coast Real Estate Network.
Gulf Coast Real Estate Network, and what it is, it's an organization that is run by our good friend Michael Boyd, who is an investor here in town, and what he put together was a networking event for all of the investors, realtors, anyone that wants to get into real estate investing down in the southeast part of Houston. And it was interesting when I was there that I heard several people say, one, that they had driven pretty far down there.
Oh my gosh, man. There was people that drove all the way from Katy to be over there.
So there was a lot of people that actually drove down there to hear you
That's
speak.
like other Timbuktu for you. That's
is
the opposite direction.
I don't think I've been to Katy in years, unless I'm driving out of Houston. Anyway, they were there to hear you speak, which I thought was really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Yesterday was their 1-year anniversary. And it was their biggest crowd yet. So
yeah, absolutely.
If you guys missed it, Jabron taught a phenomenal class about just being good on the phone and how people perceive you and how you communicate and what percentage of communication actually comes from just the words that come out of your mouth, because people don't get a chance to see you and take that other nonverbal communication, all your body language, when you're just talking to them on the phone.
Oh man, phone communication is one of the most difficult skills. Yet everybody thinks, because when they were in high school, they talked to their girlfriends or their boyfriends on the phone for hours upon hours. Everyone thinks that they're a phone expert. And the reality is 99.9% of people are terrible on the phone. Mm-hmm. They don't have good expression. They think that they're really good, and we saw that last night in some of the presentation. We had people come up and take part in the activities, and some of the activities was, well, let the audience decide which one do you think is better.
In their face, you could when you compared their way of doing it versus the way that you taught them to do it, they were so convinced that their way was the better way.
Yeah.
And then when you asked the audience to vote, everyone else voted against the other.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was like 90% of the audience raised their hand for the way that I was recommending.
Yeah.
But in their eyes and in their mind, the way that they've always done it was better. They couldn't get through to that maybe the way I've always done it isn't the best way. And I'm telling you, it just has to do with through childhood, through your high school years, your formative years, they call it. You do things one way and you have no idea you're doing it because you're doing it to flirt with your boyfriend or girlfriend or talk with your friends on the phone. You're not doing it for the purpose of making a sale.
Right.
And making a sale is a very different intention than let me chat it up with my friends.
Absolutely.
And sale and gossip is not the same world. I think it's funny. Linda says she would have driven down that far, but she has way too easy access to my knowledge. Yes, that is true. The agents get to hear this every day. And for them, I'm sure it even gets old having to hear that repetition after repetition after repetition of the same thing.
You know what I thought was funny is last night you mentioned that when you walk into a White Picket Realty office, everyone sounds the same on the phone.
And that's a good thing.
And it's a great thing. But I kept remembering that when we walk down the hall, I see some of the agents greeting each other, and you know they're doing it to be funny, but they greet each other in the same exact way.
It's like the joke that's not a joke.
Yeah.
They do it to be funny. They're like, "Hi, this is Zachary Foster with White Picket Realty in Houston, Texas." And then you hear somebody else saying, "Yeah." Even like Brandon has like adopted it. But I can tell you one thing. That greeting works.
Yeah. Well, it works. It definitely works on the phone because people like to deal with people that they feel are friendly, that they're open to talking to. So Veronica Martinez says you guys always give great content, and of course she brought up the elephant in the room.
Elephant?
What happened to the beard, Alan? So just so everyone knows, yes, I decided to take it off. I decided to shave it off, and it was either between shaving the beard or shaving my head, and I decided to go with the beard instead.
I'm so glad you said shaving my beard or shaving my head. I thought that was going somewhere else. I got really worried for a second. We got to go to commercial.
You were going to have to hit the beat button real quick.
That's why I jumped to commercial. I was like, oh gosh, I don't know what's happening right now.
We do have to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, let's talk some real estate. We have some amazing items to discuss with you guys.
Very interesting discussion for today, that's for sure.
Foreclosures, which everyone needs to know about. What's going to happen next? Stay tuned. You're on the Realty Ruckus.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you're interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
Hey guys, Alan here. Are you a home investor in need of house plans and permit expediting services? If so, Houston Plans and Permits is your local one-stop shop. They have over 15 years of professional design experience and have a strong team of knowledgeable permitting expediters to service all of your projects. Please contact them by calling them at 281-372-1555. Again, 281-372-1555, or visit them at their website, plansandpermits.com. Again, that's www.plansandpermits.com.
Hey Houston real estate agents, this is Alan Hernandez, broker at White Picket Realty. I want to let you know that when you're ready to stop working your real estate career and start building a real estate business, Team WPR is the place to be. Not only do we offer real results, real support, and real branding, but furthermore, 80 to 100% commissions of your hard-earned money going back to you. So make sure you reach out to us, join at teamwpr.com. Again, that's join, Join, at teamwpr.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can find us live on Facebook and YouTube, where if you chat with us live during your show, we can answer your questions live on the air. Now, we wanted to do something that we actually haven't done in a little bit, and since David's not here, we're going to use our secondary weatherman, Alan, host and weatherman, all in one. What's the weather going to look like this week for us, Alan? What's this weekend going to be like? You saw that blue, beautiful water that came into Galveston.
Yes.
Is this going to be a good weekend for us to all head down there again?
It definitely is. I checked the weather report, and it says, it's going to be hot. That's all I got.
And
maybe I'll stick to just being the host of the show.
you are probably the most accurate so far. It's going to be pretty hot out there.
I'm just good at this. I can't
help
it.
If you're here in Houston, get out to Galveston, enjoy that beautiful blue water. We've never seen that here.
I mean, I don't want to start talking about like the end of the world, but doesn't it kind of seem that way? I mean, when the water in Galveston becomes blue, doesn't it kind of seem like we might just kind of be at the end of it?
I know. That's like when Moses split the sea. It's
so
like,
seriously, I mean,
how did someone make Galveston blue?
I mean, we've lived in Houston all of our lives. I can say I've been to Galveston countless times. When has it ever happened? Is this just not the most awkward?
I've never seen the water blue in Galveston.
Yeah.
When I saw those pictures, I thought, oh, someone photoshopped that.
Yeah.
And no, apparently there's like a scientific reason. I don't even want to get into that.
I thought this whole thing was a hoax, by the way.
Me too. Yeah. I thought it was a hoax by the Chinese, like global warming.
And then Vanessa looks at it, my wife, and she's like, oh my God, the water's going to be blue. Maybe we can move down there. And I'm like, I don't think it's going to last that
I don't think
long.
it's permanent.
Yeah.
It's like it's one of those fluke things, you know, like, oh, we're going to make Houston beautiful for just a little bit. And then we'll be going back to Florida.
No joke. Anyway, speaking of Florida, and I say Florida because in Florida we saw a huge influx of foreclosures recently. But overall, let's talk about the problem homeowners, the homeowners with problems, the homeowners that have mortgages underwater. Mortgages where they actually owe more than the house is worth.
Well, and you know, that wasn't that big of a problem until about 2006, 2007, when the real estate market just tanked and home values, they went really, really low. And some of the most hard-hit areas were places like Florida, the whole West Palm Beach, everything along the coastline, everyone who owned a condo that they'd paid $500,000 for because it was on the water. And all of a sudden now banks are saying, well, this thing's only worth like 120, 200 at the most. And so a lot of people, they either got foreclosed on or they went into bankruptcy or they did things. And there was a few people who actually kept them.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because Zillow just put out a study right now where they went in and they checked the delinquencies and to check how many homeowners are actually underwater now in today's market. And if you ask me, I would have guessed because in my opinion, almost everyone who buys new construction is underwater immediately.
Yeah.
You cannot resell that new construction and actually break even. And that's without realtor fees and closing costs.
Homeowners don't believe that, by the way.
Oh, man,
it's insane.
And I don't get it because why would I buy your used house when I can buy the one brand new next door for the same price?
Yep.
So I'm not sure how Zillow got these numbers, but we're going to assume that they're accurate for the show. And they're claiming that less than 10% of homeowners across America are underwater on their mortgage. And if that number is true, it's a pretty amazing statistic, and it says a lot about how much the housing market has recovered over the last 10 years. So you're talking about 10 years ago, there were people that were $200,000-$300,000 underwater, double, triple, quadruple what their actual home was worth. That's what they were underwater. And now only 10 years later, and we had the huge foreclosure crisis. We had banks that had to close. There's a lot that happened in that time. But in a little span of 10 years, the market's recovered to where only 10% of people are actually underwater on their mortgage.
Well, that and we also had so much new regulation go through.
That's very true.
Lenders having to be a whole lot more stringent in how they were lending their money. I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but you only needed just to have a heartbeat so you can get a mortgage
multiple mortgages. Back in the day, you could say, this is my homestead, and these 10 properties are investment properties. And let's just say I've got money in the bank, but you're not going to check my bank. I'm just going to tell you how much money I have. And I remember there were mortgage lender officers who would go around and they would say, well, look, if you want to buy 10 houses, you got to tell us that you've got $200,000 in the bank. And people would just write down $200,000 and then they would get the loan. It was a complete mortgage fraud. It was a scam. And thankfully, a lot of that has been taken care of. And we see these areas picking up. Now, I want to go through some of the areas that aren't doing so well, the ones that are still underwater. So first off, and you're going to find that a lot of these areas are either strong metropolitan areas, and that's strong, large metropolitan areas,
Uh-huh.
or tourist destinations. So one of the first places I want to bring up is actually Virginia Beach. Virginia Beach is a beautiful place, great tourist destination. However, 16% of their homeowners are still underwater. Now, I bring up another place. You're getting ready to travel here next week. And this, I can't believe this. I thought that Chicago had a really strong economy. I thought that they were doing great. But 15%, a little bit more than 15% of their homeowners are underwater on their mortgages still. And then you jump from there and you've got areas like Philly, Detroit, Washington, D.C., Cleveland, Baltimore, all still over 10%. So when we say that it's under 10%, you're also including areas like Texas, which have had just a strong, massive recovery, and the appreciation has been great over the last few years. Now, what does that mean as people who invest in real estate? How can you take advantage of this in today's market?
I love that you bring that up because a lot of realtors in the business didn't get a chance to really see the opportunity that was at hand when all of this whole collapse happened in 2006, 2008.
Yeah.
Right? Now it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
We've recovered in a lot of ways. We don't have the same foreclosure statistics. We really don't see a whole lot of foreclosures on the market these days. Now, will we see them? Possibly. Will there be a potential burst of a bubble, kind of like what we had before? Maybe. We may see something like that because the truth is rates are climbing and so are values, and really they're climbing really, really fast. So there's a potential that we may see a slowdown on that. But I can tell you
a slowdown on what specifically?
A slowdown on people being able to go out and really buy anything.
Oh, okay. So home affordability.
Because
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
getting to be really expensive for people to be able to afford a home.
Yeah.
However, I remember that when there was real estate agents freaking out about foreclosures and all that, there was a group of investors who were so smart that they went in and bought everything that they could. And I mean, they were buying things 50 cents on the dollar. I remember selling properties that right now sell for $250, selling those properties to them as is, of course, for $50,000, $60,000.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember in Sharpstown, you could just buy up houses left and right for $50,000.
$50,000 to $60,000, Sharpstown, here in the area that we're in. Those houses right now are going for $250,000. We're only talking about a 10-year span.
I know it's so incredible how much the appreciation has moved up over the last 10 years. And the reason that I bring that up is because it's almost like the stock market. If you had left your money in the S&P, if you just left it sitting there in real estate, even after the collapse, you just wait for it to come back up, home prices aren't going down. And they may go down at some point, but they're just going to rise right back up after that because there's this thing called inflation and the value of the dollar is not as strong. So your home values are going to continue to rise. So for anyone out there who's like, man, I just can't find any good deals, if you are bankable, if you can go to a bank and you haven't hit that limit on your 10 yet, it's a great opportunity to continue to buy. And just know, look, even if there is a slight crash, you're going to appreciate over the long term.
Well, and see, so there's this other thing at hand right now, and I get it. There's these tourist cities. There's cities that obviously take a bigger hit when we do have a slump. But we're in Texas. And one of the greatest things about living in Texas, especially Houston, is that we really don't see those type of slumps here.
No, not really.
When we were in the so-called recession, we really didn't feel it like the other cities did. I mean, I remember going to Orlando during recession time, and I actually saw businesses closed out, neighborhoods that people were vacating. We didn't see that here. We didn't have that same situation.
I remember going to Atlanta in 2011. So, I mean, we're talking about 5 years removed from the foreclosure crisis. And when we landed there, we went on this little tour through these neighborhoods where there were houses, there were foreclosures that we were going to be buying. And they took us to one neighborhood where every single house, they were all new construction, brand new houses, all boarded up. Thousands of houses. And I go, wait a minute. this is what the foreclosure crisis looks like.
Yep.
We haven't seen this in Texas. I mean,
didn't see that
there
in
are
Texas.
foreclosures, but people are buying them up right afterwards. I had never seen entire new construction neighborhoods all vacant. And every now and then you'd see one or two houses that somebody had removed the wood on, and then they were renting it out, and they were collecting rent payments on them.
I remember an agent telling me at some point that's how he was making money, by renting properties that were owned by the bank, and me thinking, dude, you are going to go to jail at some point.
Oh, and they were doing it on a mass scale. It's amazing.
Prison, so you're going to really get it. So anyway, let's talk about the fact that we are going to have a batch of foreclosures here in Houston, and I don't know if anybody's ever really thought about that yet.
Here's the thing that I was really excited about those foreclosures, and I'm not as excited anymore. And I'll tell you why. Because banks are partnering with a lot of large financial institutions to just buy out all of their foreclosures in bulk.
Yep.
And so I'm not sure that us as the public will ever actually see those foreclosures. I think that those are going to be, I don't want to call it shadow inventory, because that's like one of those words from back in the day.
Yeah.
But I think it's inventory that was never going to be revealed to the public. It's going to go straight from bank to big financial institution, and it'll never actually hit the foreclosure block to where people are bidding on it and stuff. They're going to sell off those assets before they ever get there.
I think the large chunks of them probably will. I mean, if you think about it, we've had so many asset management companies come into the picture. We've had a lot of hedge funds come into the picture. Hedge funds that are literally buying anything that's been flooded, and that's really the batch of foreclosures that we see coming.
Those foreclosures,
the stuff
all
that's
those flood
flooded,
houses
that didn't really go through the proper processing. The people that didn't have enough money to recover, and now they're having to say, well, sorry, I can't do anything else.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we have to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we'll get into a little bit more of what's going to happen here with the foreclosure crisis and 5 things you should never say when dealing with a client. Stay tuned. You're on the Realty Ruckus.
Hey Houston, this is Alan Hernandez, and I want to remind you guys to visit our friends over at Quest IRA to learn everything there is to learn about investing with your IRA. Now, if you haven't been over there recently, you have to check them out. They have free educational classes, networking opportunities, the ability to tap into $1 billion for your real estate investing deals. These are the guys to know when it comes to learning about this kind of stuff. You want to make sure you visit them and check them out over at www.questira.com. Again, that's questira.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you're interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepicketrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepicketrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one.
Hey guys, Alan here. Are you a home investor in need of house plans and permit expediting services? If so, Houston Plans and Permits is your local one-stop shop. They have over 15 years of professional design experience and have a strong team of knowledgeable permitting expediters to service all of your projects. Please contact them by calling them at 281-372-1555. Again, 281-372-1555, or visit them at their website, plansandpermits.com. Again, that's www.plansandpermits.com.
Hey Houston real estate agents, this is Alan Hernandez, broker at White Picket Realty. I want to let you know that when you're ready to stop working your real estate career and start building a real estate business, Team WPR is the place to be. Not only do we offer real results, real support, and real branding, but furthermore, 80 to 100% commissions of your hard-earned money going back to you. So make sure you reach out to us. Join at teamwpr.com. Again, that's join, Join, at teamwpr.com.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus. Remember that you can find us live on Facebook and YouTube, where if you chat with us live during the show, we can answer your questions live on the air. Now, before we went to break, we were talking about how much homes have appreciated, how the foreclosure crisis has really been recovered from for the most part. And I would be willing to bet that most of those people that are still underwater, they're either in areas where the city doesn't have much to offer. Unfortunately, I'm talking about cities like Detroit that don't have much to offer in terms of commerce. summers, or they're in touristy areas like the West Palm Beaches, and I know the West Palm Beach is doing okay, but I'm talking about the little surrounding cities, the Hollywood, Florida, the Boynton Beach, Florida, that they're not as popular as West Palm, and I want to say those are areas that are probably hurting, the Virginia Beach type areas.
But let's cut to the chase here. If we see a batch of foreclosures, you're right. Most of them are going to go to the big asset management companies, the big hedge funds.
Yeah.
However, is there going to be an opportunity for investors here in town? And by the way, that includes realtors, right? Because shouldn't all realtors also be investing in real estate?
I think it all comes down to, do the banks want to actually take these properties back and then list them REO, or are they willing to just cut their losses? And I want to say the bigger banks, they'll do REO because they can afford to hold on to them. And I think a lot of the smaller banks are just going to liquidate. It's not even worth their time and effort to try to REO it. They'll take their loss, write it off on their books, move on to the next one. But I do want to jump into this other article, and it's 5 things that you should never say as a real estate agent. And I think this is interesting because I want to say a lot of agents are probably guilty of saying these things. So we've got a few minutes. We're going to go through them really quickly, and then we're going to jump into some events. So what's number 1? What's something that you should never say, but most agents are probably saying it?
Oh, man, please take this out of your vocabulary right now. If you've said it before, go ahead and slap yourself a couple times and never say it again. It is, quote, guaranteed you will gain equity in the next few years.
Yeah, and here's the biggest problem is those are the types of things that jump into E&O insurance concerns. Is anytime you tell a buyer that for sure their home's going to appreciate, you don't have a magic crystal ball. Chances are most homes will appreciate, but you can't count on, is there going to be a recession? Is something going to change in the neighborhood? Are we going to have a massive flood that's going to bring values down? So don't ever make a promise on what's going to happen in the area. You can say, currently this area is going up in value, currently this area is going down in value, or over the last 3, 4, 5 years it's done this or that, but don't ever make a guarantee of what's going to happen in the future. Period.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you could make a guarantee, you probably shouldn't be in real estate. If you have a crystal ball and know these kind of things, you should try something else, maybe telling fortunes or something, but not real estate. That doesn't work here. And here's the thing. Imagine the people that were told that bought a house like in Westbury, where the neighborhood has continuously gone up in value for the last 15, 20 years. And then all of a sudden, boom, Harvey strikes. And it's one of the few neighborhoods in Houston who is literally seen $100K dip in value.
Yeah, it's a 10 to 20% loss. All right, we got to go quickly. Brandon's saying we've got 2 minutes left.
All right,
still got to
next
get through
one.
events.
Don't worry about it. Looks good to me.
And this one is something that I actually see a lot of agents say because they want to make the sale.
Yeah.
And a buyer will say, well, I don't know, man. That little mark over there kind of looks scary to me. Yeah, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Look, the easy answer is to say, hey, that's a good concern. Why don't you bring that up to the home inspector after we submit the offer? Don't ever make a promise that something is going to be okay. Yeah. And really, I guess what this list comes down to is don't make a promise that you can't keep. Yeah. So unless you intend to fix that problem because it's not a big deal, then don't make it something that you talk about to begin with.
Here's the next one. Save your money. An inspection shouldn't be necessary on this home. Can you imagine?
That's just nuts. I think that everyone should have an inspection. And actually, I was filling out an E&O insurance renewal yesterday, and one of the questions on there is, are you recommending in writing a home inspection to every single buyer? And if you're not, your E&O insurance just shoots out the roof. So that tells you how important the home inspections are. Now, we're going to have to cut the rest of this list off because we got to jump into events. But I do want to talk about events that are coming up.
Yes.
And we'll post the rest of this list in the group.
We'll post them there for you guys. Make sure you guys take a look at them and take these items off of your verbiage so that you don't get in trouble and have to file claims against your insurance or whatever happens.
So I just want to bring up 2 different events that are coming up because they're the biggest ones. Now, first, next Monday, we're having our big real estate summit.
Yep.
And that is for all of the agents of White Picket Realty and anybody else who's interested in coming out and seeing what a progressive brokerage is doing. We're not the status quo. We don't do things quite the same way that everyone else does. And we really have a different environment, different feel to how we do things. So if you're interested in that, reach out to us. We'll get you a guest ticket and we'll get you in there into our summit. I already know that we've got about 10 other real estate agents who are going to be coming out just to check out how it is that White Picket Realty does things. So if that's something that you're interested in, you're watching, reach out to us and we'll get you that guest ticket. Now, the big one, the one that we can't leave off.
Absolutely.
Next Tuesday is our real estate rally. And that is literally the biggest happy hour in the city. We pack out St. Arnold's Brewery. And on this time around, we have a special VIP ticket. And I know that those are actually starting to run out.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the VIP ticket?
I love it. I love this idea. It came about from people saying, hey, how do we get in there first? Or, hey, how do we get our beer faster? Or how do we cut the line? And I get that. There are people that are really, really serious about this industry or about their work or about what they do. And so we made a ticket for the serious networker. We made a ticket to where if you want to jump the line, if you want to get more access to the food, the beer, the whatever it is you want, it's there. On top of that, we're going to be doing giveaways just for the VIPs. And in the future events, we're going to actually be renting a room in the back just for
it's
our
a
VIP guests.
complete private room in the back.
Complete private room. And all of the top producers, the business owners will be sitting down doing a mastermind and talking about the things that matter, like hiring, firing, processes, systems, people, how to grow, that things that really don't get a chance to be discussed normally. That's what we're going to discuss them at this event. So make sure you guys grab your ticket. It's $15 for a VIP ticket. I believe there's a handful of them left.
And the standard ticket is still free.
Yeah,
so if you just don't like paying for networking events, you can still come out and get the standard experience, which is a great experience still.
Yeah.
So we encourage you, sign up for the real estate rally today. Now, unfortunately, we're completely out of time.
We are, man. We didn't even have a chance to talk about our upcoming investment event for realtors.
Yeah, and we'll get to talk about that on the next show.
We'll drop
next
that down
Tuesday,
below. So take a look at it at the link below. Thank you again for joining us. Don't forget that we're on every Tuesday and Thursday from 1:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Keep up your ruckus, and we'll see you next time.
This has been the Realty Ruckus. Make sure and join us every Tuesday and Friday for new episodes. Find us on YouTube and Facebook for replays of previous episodes. And as always, keep elevating yourself and keep up your ruckus. Thanks for listening. Realty Ruckus has been brought to you by Smart Pig Media Productions.